It's been a while since I last covered a Sonic game, and since the last one was Sonic 2, I wanted to go with a less famous one. So here is Tails' of Sky Patrol for the Game Gear, being played through Sonic Gems Collection, which is what I assume most people were introduced to it through. That or Sonic Adventure DX, but you had to unlock it in that game. Until this video, I'd never beaten the game. I don't think I'd even made it past the second level before. But I've also never put serious time into it, the last time even playing it being 10 years earlier. It's a simple plot. Tails travels to this tropical island alone and finds it covered in rails and controlled by Witch Cart and her minions, and so he's gonna deal with it. Starting the game, the first level is the training area. The game is permanently auto-scrolling, and having a collision with a wall or the floor results in a death. Colliding with an enemy or projectile will have Tails start nosediving, requiring some button presses to break free. But Tails also has a stamina bar that steadily decreases and will also result in a fall when emptied. To refill it, you have to pick up the food items laid around the levels. Tails' main form of offence is this ring. By pressing a button I can fire it off as a projectile. I can also use it to latch onto poles, minecarts and weights that can swing, drag me along or weigh me down until I shoot it again to let go. This first level just showcases these things to get you used to them, along with some common obstacles like spiked balls and these spinning walls that'll take you out if they make contact while moving. There are also some rising and lowering spiked walls as well, followed by block walls that need to be destroyed with the ring. There are a couple items to pick up like 1-ups and a star sign that grants temporary invincibility. The last big obstacle are the balls that quickly appear across the screen. You can try to avoid them, or if you're quick enough you can just bust them with your ring to open a path through. Best to try a mix of both, as colliding with one is a death. After them is the end of the level. Now we try some actual levels, starting with Rail Canyon, not to be confused with the Sonic Heroes level that had my 12-year-old self tearing his hair out. We had some actual enemies now, starting with the Tokiboshi Crow and the balloon guns that shoot at me. I pass through several spinning walls and find a Dorigame, looking a lot like the Turtloids from Sonic 2. This one hits me, but the floor collision when recovering is quite generous. I grab a handle and get flung a good distance. I take the bottom row and give them the choice and fight my first few bee-flies. At the end of the tunnel I can ring the bell, setting a checkpoint. I follow the rail uphill and ride a minecart downhill. I learned that hitting the blue ball a spiked one is orbiting will change its direction, resulting in me getting myself smacked. It then goes pretty basic for a bit, mainly a straight line with the same enemies and another checkpoint on the way. I get some of these blue structures blocking my view on some spots, and then it's back into tunnels with poles that swing me up and down. I try to avoid them so I can get the sweeps behind them for my stamina. But I get greedy and a big one is in front of the wall, getting me my first death when I fly into it. Next time I hang around the bottom of the screen, but fail to grab this balloon and ram myself into a different wall. Third try, I get back to the cave I died in first and just hang around up top and stay there, passing on the chance to get food in the next cave. This is a mistake as I run out of stamina soon after and come crashing down. Next time I use the weights provided to drop down into that cave and get the sweets. What comes next is a stretch of poles flinging me forward until I reach this cave with a weight. I need to drop down with it, but I shoot the ring, leaving me with no way to reach the bottom of this wall in time and die again. And the next time a bee-fly hits me pixels above the wall and there goes my last life. Thankfully, continues are unlimited in this game, but you do have to start the level from the beginning. A couple of minutes later I make it back to that wall and ram my stupid face right back into it again. Next time I latch onto the weight, but don't realise there's a pit at the bottom and get dragged down it. Next time I know to let go in time. I ride a balloon to a higher section of the cave so I can get out and reach the game's first boss, Hockerwolf the Wolf. He rides a flying scooter and drops mines behind it. I just hang behind him, slamming my ring into the back of his head until he's stunned. I then attach him to the ring and throw him into the rail, defeating him. Tails then flies off with him where it's never revealed what he did, as he never appears again. I've never been this far in the game before. Level 3 is Ruinwood. This one's got a bit of a Mystic Cave Zone look to it. First is a series of poles that can launch you into a rail to your death if you don't react quick enough. Following the rail down gets the first new enemy, a Haneruton, a skeleton that explodes into 4 bones on death. The second one explodes into 8 on its own and kills me. And as it turns out the next time, I died inches away from an invincibility sign, letting me bounce harmlessly against this wall as I make my way up. I take some more poles down and have to avoid the spiked poles in this tunnel. I get past the first 2, but I go through too fast and the third kills me. I get past it and through the bits of the tunnel that move up and down until I reach this place where these things, bound heads, drop in from off screen. They're easily dealt with and I ride this balloon up the wall to finally reach a checkpoint. I ride the next cart, passing an extra life but letting go for invincibility. But I grab back onto the cart and let it drag me off the edge and down into another pit. Next time I know to let go and the next cave section has me dealing with the balls again. I just stay where I am and slow myself down while mashing attack to make a path through. But I game over while adjusting myself and hit my head against one. I make it back easily, and just past the spot I died is the exit and the checkpoint. One more tunnel with spiked poles and I'm outside. A new enemy is the Minokichi, which hangs from the ceiling and moves up and down. We have the Capture Berry, which clamps itself on Tails' ring to keep him trapped in place, along with the Gon, which bites onto his ring to weigh him down. The level design is nothing noteworthy for a bit until I reach the next checkpoint. Then we get the return of the block walls I have to break from the training area, dealing with a few of those until I reach the next checkpoint and the second boss, Bearinger the Bear. He rides a little rocket and is slightly more aggressive than Hockewolf, throwing out 3 projectiles. I get a bit too reckless first try though and get hit, falling into the floor. I just have to fight him the same way as the last boss, whack him with the ring and try to grab him for a throw when I can. I just keep it up until he's beaten and I can drag him off. Level 4 is Metal Island, and this stage doesn't have the floor like the others. Instead I have to fly over many airships trying to avoid colliding with them. There may be one, but based on my experience playing the level, I'd assume there isn't a ceiling or floor at all, as the level just keeps going as I avoid more airships. This makes the level a little less stressful, but it kind of makes it much harder for me to describe the journey through it. Even the food is easier to grab since it's just in the air and doesn't require risking a deadly scrape along the floor. It's also just returning enemies, with new obstacles being big cannons and swinging bits of machinery. As I get closer to the end of the level, I get some really tight gaps I have to squeeze through, but otherwise I have to say this was my favourite level of the game. At the end, the third boss and last of Witch Cart's henchmen is Caratia the Rabbit. She fires 2 carrots at once going up and down and both move in an arc. She can also blow damaging kisses, but you can hit those with your ring as well. She's much easier than Bearinger due to no ceiling and floor giving me much more space to work with, and this becomes the only level after the first that I finish without losing a life. That just leaves the final level, Dark Castle, which takes up over a third of my recording for this game. But the recording was only 37 minutes long, so it's not as bad as it sounds. After dealing with a few cannons and birds, I enter the first tunnel to find my first Tashia. It doesn't even try to fight back. I stick along the bottom of the screen for a bit until another one kills me when its ball sticks around after death to knock me into the floor. Next time I stay back and make sure I'm nowhere near it. I hang around the top of the screen until I enter this blue room where the balls make a return. I make it past the first lot, but I speed too far ahead and one spawns inside where I am and takes me out. On the way back, it's now twice in a row this picky one up won't get collected even though I'm passing right through it. This time I just go slow and move in a straight line, mashing attack to make a path through, just barely getting the sweets at the end before stamina runs out. At the next wall I find another one up and go along the top, dodging spiked pillars. I keep moving further past more of them and then the balls show up again. I just barely get myself another one up before I run out of stamina and die. I have to start at the beginning though since I haven't been able to find any checkpoints yet. I end up in a rut for a few minutes, just not able to make it as far as I did then. Eventually I do make it back and reach this minecart. I let go when it looks like I need to not slam into this wall, but I just barely make it, but then my stamina runs out again. Next time I take the bottom path for the second set of balls and finally find a checkpoint. I reach the spot where I died and keep going along the bottom until a series of poles sends me up and flying backwards. Past a spiked pillar and through a wave of returning enemies, I find another checkpoint and next have to navigate the spinning walls, including riding a weight through one as it spins. I find one more checkpoint and reach the final boss, Witch Cart herself. She fights using the same projectiles as Bearinger, just throwing more at a time. But since her cart has her limited to the rails, she's actually easier. She also has this one spark projectile, but it's unremarkable. She's very easy to catch and launch, and it doesn't take long until she's defeated, Tails arresting her too. There's no ending, just Tails flying along a purple sky as the credits roll. This game's alright, nowhere near one of the best Sonic games, not one of the worst, glad to finally finish it after so long. It's nice to see Tails get a starring role based around one of his key differences from Sonic. When I was younger I found it frustrating, but I just didn't notice the sounder bar so I kept falling out of the sky. Soundtrack is just okay, outclassed by most of the other 8-bit Sonic games. Of the 3 8-bit ones I've looked at so far, I like it more than Sonic Drift, but not as much as Sonic Chaos. It was a fine half an hour, and any way you can buy it legit these days comes with a collection with some better games as well.